In 2024, we got a bunch of new updates for The Long Dark, and some of these truly changed the way people play the game, myself included. From Part 5 of Tales from the Far Territory to Safe House customization, which was added in the most recent update, Broken Silence. This allows you to collect, destroy, and rearrange furniture in your base, adding another level of fun to the already enthralling gameplay of The Long Walk. The Long Dark. And now with Black Frost, aka The Long Dark 2, right around the corner, there's a lot here to be excited about. But it's not all fun and games. We'll be diving into various bugs and the complete or incomplete state the game is currently in. Additionally, I'm going to touch on a list of criteria to determine whether The Long Dark is an overglorified inventory management walking simulator or an open world survival masterpiece worthy of your time. So come with your boy Grape. Let's get busy. To begin, we're going to look at what most players come to the game for, the gameplay, obviously. Now, depending on if you came to the game to enjoy an engaging story about the quiet apocalypse, or to try to outlast your best in the stressful open world survival mode, it can be a bit of a different experience. In essence, both the story mode, called Wintermute, and the sandbox survival mode pretty much share the exact same gameplay loop, that being of any survival game. You manage your hunger, thirst, warmth, stamina, and overall health, while overcoming obstacles and afflictions to make it to another day. However, if you're indulging in the story mode, you may find yourself given busy work by the NPCs and limited in terms of travel. Whereas in standalone survival mode, you have the entire open world to explore, but in story mode, you're pretty much stuck to where the story takes you or wants you to be. For now though, let's just talk about survival mode and we'll double back later and discuss story mode. As we know, there's a lot there to uncover. Survival mode offers you 5 different difficulties to experiment with, plus one that you can customize to how you see fit. Without going into too much detail about each individual difficulty, Pilgrim is the easiest, focusing on exploration with most of the elements being very forgiving. Interloper, on the other hand, is, well, tough. We have gotten frostbite on our hand. We're gonna get it on our head in a second. We died, folks. Interloper ensures a hostile and punishing environment. Firearms are forbidden and loot is scarce. Cattail stalks may be the only option you have for a meal at the end of the day. And if you thought Interloper was as tough as it gets, you're sadly mistaken. In June 2024, Hinterland introduced us to Misery Mode. Misery Mode is Interloper turned up to 11, where in predetermined times throughout your run, you become affected by stages of special afflictions only found in this mode, such as diminished form, sour stomach, and frigid bones, introducing an entirely new impossibility to this survival game. I'm definitely of the mind that people should have a choice to how they want to engage with the game, whether that be trying to take on the toughest challenges known to man, or if they want to customize a cute little home with trophy fish they've framed themselves. With all that being said, I personally enjoy the freedom and difficulty. I've done multiple Interloper runs, where I'll look at the maps and plot my routes extensively, waiting for the perfect time to run across a frozen tundra to reach my next destination. And on the other hand, I'm currently in an extensive Voyager run with an emphasis on base customization, both of which I found great enjoyment in. The variety of wildlife encounters you can have is overall limited, as with only 5 different types of hostile animals, you quickly learn how to avoid or intimidate these beasts. I found myself over the last couple years memorizing where the spawn locations of certain wildlife were, so I would instinctively avoid that area the next time I was to visit the region. But since December 2024, Hinterland has introduced a wildlife refresh, meaning all wildlife spawns and routes have been overhauled with the exception of a few. And not to mention the newly added cougar. This beast had a bit of a wonky start, as Hinterland released it in early 2024, then quickly took it out after backlash over its function. Needless to say, it's back, and it seems people are having quite a fun time with it. And if that's not enough, Hinterland introduced Tales from the Far Territory in December of 2022, and expanded on it in 2024, giving us a 3-part story to complete while in survival mode. To do at your own whim, of course. We've already briefly discussed the new safe house customization options, but this update also includes another new addition, the camera. With the camera, you can display the pictures you take in your home, while channeling your creative side by using various filtered films found around the island. We also got the new woodworking tools, which allow you to construct many different luxuries for your safe house, including a lovely bed, crafting table, and a curing chest, perfect for curing all those rancid meats you've been storing outside. You may think that's it, but there's one more big addition to the most recent Broken Silence update, that being the Trader. The Trader, well, trades with you. You can contact him during the Aurora at one of many Trader radio locations across Great Bear Island. However, in order to trade with him, you must bring the supplies he demands to Coastal Highway and to the rear of the Misanthrope's homestead. There you can find his little cubby, where you can work on completing the full Trader questline. It's another fun thing to do during your survival runs. Well, That's if carrying a ton of batteries to Coastal Highway is your kind of fun. Now I mentioned the story mode Wintermute at the start of this video, but for those new or returning to the game who have yet to try it out, let me give you a brief rundown of what to expect. Without going too deep into the story, as to not spoil anything, Wintermute revolves around two people, past lovers William Mackenzie and Astrid Greenwood. Astrid comes to Will in a time of need. She needs to get a briefcase to a place called Perseverance Mills, a place described as
Shit-nothing town, north part of the island.
While the case contents are unknown, Will agrees, but during their flight, the Aurora Storm sends their small Cessna aircraft crashing onto the island, thus separating them. During the so far released episodes 1 through 4, you play as both Will and Astrid. Both, however, are in a fight for survival, overcoming trials and tribulations to continue on their destined path. Will is empathetic, and Astrid is tough and determined. Both show you an interesting side to the full story. One little thing I really enjoyed about Wintermute were the one-liners your character would spew from what is usually a scripted part in the story.
I have a bad feeling I'm never gonna see this place again.
It was refreshing to hear something a little different than the regular survival jargon, although we did still hear a lot of,
This pack is getting kinda heavy.
I've been replaying Wintermute for the past 2 weeks now, and I've got to say, there's a lot of content there. You have your main quest objectives and several side quest objectives per region. All side quests are optional, so you're not messing up the story by not completing them. If you do, however, decide to take on the side quests, you won't be disappointed. In episode 3, you can find several books about myths and legends from around the Pleasant Valley region, which allow you to witness and experience almost paranormal events. Upon completion, the music and badge that appears gave me more of a feeling of accomplishment than progressing the story would. It left me wanting more of the sort to discover. There's a ton to uncover in Wintermute, and I'm really not trying to spoil anything, but there's a dedicated stealth chapter which I personally found very refreshing, as I'm usually one to take danger head on while in survival mode. The 5th and final episode of Wintermute is scheduled to release sometime in 2025, so if you haven't played the story yet, I suggest giving it a go. I doubt you would be disappointed. But of course, if you're an avid fan of The Long Dark and have already played what we have of Wintermute so far, then you may know that Hinterland will soon be releasing the 5th and final episode, which is said to be called The Light at the End of All Things. With the name and poster comes much speculation about the ending of the story. Some say Will and Astrid reunite and sail away to warmer waters, while others think the worst. Whichever it is, fans are hopeful that Hinterland responds to criticisms after episode 4 was released, calling it short and too full of dialogue. However it ends, I'm sure that the fans will have much to say about it.
Oh, thank God you answered. I need you to hit the subscribe button down below before these wolves get me. Okay, thanks. I gotta go. Hey!
And now, we talk about bugs and glitches. I've read many posts on forums and Reddit threads about bugs people are encountering and how it's ruining their gameplay experience. I personally have not come across any game-breaking or run-ending bugs, thank God. But if this many people have been complaining about the amount and severity of bugs, especially in a permadeath game, it begs the question, is the game really worth playing if when I make it hours into a run, the game suddenly experiences a glitch and I lose all of my progression? Now that's a tough question to answer. I do empathize, however, that with any time spent in a run, that ends in such an unavoidable way. It is frustrating to say the least. I also understand that the devs aren't always able to replicate the glitches in order to diagnose and fix them. I don't mean to speculate, but perhaps this is why Hinterland introduced the cheat death mechanic, to allow players that have experienced run-ending bugs the chance to continue, where otherwise they'd have to start their run entirely over. Like I said, I have yet to experience any major issues regarding glitches. Sure, there's been a lot of cosmetic and clipping issues with objects, but nothing that has ended a run. But if you want to hear some bugs and glitches I've personally come across recently, here you go. In Wintermute, when the bear dragged me to its cave, he was both walking away from me and dragging me simultaneously. Also while in the bear's cave, the initial bear sound effects of him eating that other person would continue playing even when progressing through the cave. So in many instances, I was under the impression that there may be 2 bears around, as I could hear one chewing, plus the other one right in front of me. I've also had plenty of other small things happen that aren't worth mentioning. However, if you've experienced any run-ending bugs, share them down below, and tell me how far along you were before you faded into the Long Dark. In conclusion, it is my belief that the Long Dark still holds up in 2025 as a unique and captivating survival experience. While the game has certainly faced a share of bugs, glitches, and technical challenges over the years, the core mechanics and atmospheric storytelling continue to shine through. Its emphasis on isolation in a harsh, unforgiving world remains just as engaging as when it first launched. The developers at Hinterland have shown commitment to improving the game, and with regular free updates and community support, many of the game's issues are being addressed. Whether you're a veteran or a new survivor, The Long Dark offers an experience that can still pull you in, making it a must-play for anyone who enjoys survival games with a strong narrative and challenging gameplay. It's clear that despite some rough edges, The Long Dark has managed to carve out a lasting legacy in the gaming world. And in 2025, it remains a standout title for those seeking both solitude and adventure. There's no better time than now to wrap yourself in the cold embrace that is The Long Dark.